am so nourished to see all of you in the audience. How many of you were in Mahatma Prabhu's last seminar? There you go. Just see. Hey, Mahatma Prabhu. So that means everybody here already knows something about what we're doing here, right? At least those that were in Mahatma Prabhu's class. For those of you that were not in Mahatma Prabhu's seminar, we want you to know that we have something very exciting that we'll be offering in the next hour and a half or so. We have these amazing kids, Malati. We have these amazing devotees that are making this contribution that you will be so inspired by after you leave here in the next hour. You'll be so inspired by these devotees that are sitting up on this stage because they have, as Mahatma Prabhu shared, made a commitment to making a contribution to all of you, to the ISKCON world. And so what we want to do to kind of bring this alive for all of you is to introduce a couple that everybody knows. You are all very familiar with this couple. And maybe something you don't know is that he's actually a professional actor in New York, and his wife is a statistic teacher. Can you imagine? A statistic professor and an actor coming together, and they're like amazing comedians. So let them come and share with us what this is all about.
Oh, that's great news. Okay, there's only one spot left? No, I'll take it. My wife will understand. No, yeah, I've been wanting to do Bhakti Shastri for a long time. Yeah, I think so. Well, look, I have to just clear it with my job and with my wife, but I'm pretty sure, so just count me in. I'm a definite. Okay, bye-bye. Hi, boss. I'm going to need a little bit of time off. Is that okay?
Time?
Yeah, I need to take some time off from the job.
Off?
Yeah, I'm going to need about 4 months off.
4 months?
Yeah, you're understanding this, yes. I need 4 months, you can call it an early vacation or whatever, if I'm going to India to study.
We'll need to fire you.
Okay, I'm sure that's Krishna's arrangement. Okay. Haribol, I'm home.
Hi, sweetheart.
Hi, honey. I have got great news.
What great news?
You know how we're always talking about going to India because neither of us have ever been to India?
Oh, yeah.
And we always want to go?
Yeah.
I'm going to India.
We're going to India?
No. I'm going to India. Yeah, you see, a spot opened up at the Bhakti Shastri, but only one spot, and I knew you'd want me to take advantage of it. So I'm going to go to India in a few months.
How long are you going to be gone for?
About 4 months.
But I'm 2 months pregnant. What about the little one?
They will be fine. We both chanted 50 rounds. Don't worry about it.
So wait, let me get this straight. You're going to leave me alone with 2 children for 4 months?
Well, it sounds bad when you say it like that. No, I'm going to leave you alone with 2 children for 4 months.
Wait a minute. What about your job?
It was much easier than I thought it was going to be. I got fired.
You got what?
I got a little bit fired.
A little fired? That's like me being a little pregnant. Oh.
It's going to be fine. When I get back, I'll be able to transcend the modes.
Transcend the modes? You better start now, baby, because you gotta transcend this first.
So, in conclusion, thank you very much for your attendance at this lecture. And we discussed different things. Main thing to understand is how Shankaracharya philosophy is really not right in its epistemology. And the terminology he uses and the Vaishnavacharya's terminology may be the same, but the meaning, the exegesis is different. Any question?
How do I get my children to start chanting?
Yes. So Shankaracharya, he uses the same terminology, but in a different way. Is that clear? Yes.
I was appreciating what you were saying about Shankaracharya. I can't wake up from under the arti. What do I do?
Yeah. The issue that the acharyas discuss is that what is the ashraya or maya? Because Shankaracharya, with his Advaita philosophy, does not explain it. So we should study the Sandarbhas. Tattva Sandarbha, Bhagavad Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, Krishna Sandarbha, Bhakti Sandarbha, and Priti Sandarbha. And then all your questions will be answered. So thank you very much for your attention.
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. It's the best Kirtan I've ever been in.
That's amazing!
This is the most profound class I've ever heard.
I am having hundreds of realizations.
Me too. Those seminars were incredible, weren't they?
You know, I was just so moved. I was just so moved. You know, we need to keep this in our hearts. We need to take this home with us.
Let's just decide that we're going to really infuse our life with everything we've learned.
Oh, totally. I can't wait to get this working at home.
Maybe I should have turned the TV off before I started my tour. But it is Wheel of Fortune. Cream of the crop. Buy a barrel combo. Cream of the crop.
You know, Marcy, I think you're totally right. You know, we should have talked to Andy about that before. You know, really, she needs to be talked to. Did you see how she was dealing with her children?
Buy a vowel! Who are you talking to, Marcy? To tell her about the seminars? Hey, remember those seminars? There was a lot of stuff that we learned. I can't remember a lot of it.
It was really, really good.
Oh, it was good.
It was good.
Remember when they,
Oh, yeah, and remember?
It was good. I told you to buy a vowel.
Yeah, you better call her soon.
Okay.
Honorable Yadunat and Beth Mataji. Yadunat Prabhu Beth Mataji. So speaking together here. We're sharing about integration of Krishna consciousness, and we also want to share about contribution of Krishna consciousness. And so in talking about contributions, there's a person that has been made and continues to make contributions ever since I became a devotee. I've heard her name making contributions, and we see her. She's still running around the corner, and I hope she didn't just disappear. Malati Mataji. So at some point we'll get Malati to come and say a few words to us, because actually we know that this festival would not be going on without Malati. Malati Mataji, please, coordinating and bringing so many wonderful devotees together to contribute to Srila Prabhupada's movement. Please share a few words with the devotees. This is really embarrassing, because I was coming here to say we have to be a tiny bit quieter because of the...
Jai Haribo!
Of the seminar next door.
Whatever you would like to share with the audience.
After Beth and Yadu, what can I say? Actually, all I can say is thank you for coming here, and please pay attention to the seminar. But we're all here today. We're here together today because of Srila Prabhupada. And each one of these beautiful offerings to Srila Prabhupada is meant to bring him more and more closer to your lives and alive in your heart. And yes, when you're driving home and ringing that bell and chanting that japa, you know, Prabhupada is going to be there with you and for you. And you may have to turn the TV off and put down the cell phone and whatever else that is distracting us. But when we do that, the door opens up and he's really there with us. So please enjoy this festival and please come back again and again. Hare Krishna. We have gratitude for Malati Prabhu's contribution to Srila Prabhupada's movement, isn't it? And now, Purusha Shakti Prabhu, I'm honored to be able to introduce my godbrother Purusha Shakti Prabhu, because he's such an example for me. That's for someone that's really committed, very dedicated, very creative, very enthused, so much determination to do something, to bring an offering to Srila Prabhupada. So Purusha, he likes to sit behind the computer with Mahatma Prabhu, because this is such an amazing course that they have developed, Purusha Shakti and the team of devotees. We want Purusha Shakti Prabhu to offer his presentation as he sees it, in his eyes, his vision, because really, this is his vision. Purusha Shakti Prabhu. Oh, Mahatma, okay. Rukmini Mataji, we're praying, right? All right. So Mahatma Prabhu, Mahatma Prabhu does not need an introduction, isn't it? How many devotees know Mahatma Prabhu in this room? Of course. Especially with the seminars that Mahatma Prabhu has been offering throughout Islam. And he's done this in New Vrindavan. I was very fortunate to be able to attend his forgiveness workshop a couple years ago in Gitanagari. And he gave me so much more perspective on how to interact with devotees that maybe I may feel a little bit challenged in my daily activities. So Mahatma, I don't need to introduce him, because Mahatma speaks for himself, and Mahatma is very expert at doing so many wonderful things. But I do want to say that what Mahatma has contributed to this offering of Bhagavad life will change your lives. Mahatma Prabhu.
So, did you like that prayer? Yeah. Let's give another big hand to it. Yadunath,
It's a very wonderful devotee. If you don't know him, I suggest you get to know him. He's all heart and he's very sincere and serious. I found that out from the Japa retreat that I attended. So, can you relate to this play? What is going on? So what were they teaching? What were the points? Lack of concentration when you get home. Oh, hell, that's this when you get home, yes.
The importance of communication.
Importance of communication and relationships. What else?
Lack of application later on in life.
Lack of application. Anyone have that problem? Lack of application. Part of, I think, lack of application is just knowing how to. Isn't it true that sometimes you read or hear you should do something, and then you think, okay, and you run out to do it, and you realize you actually need practical tools and steps to do it? Anyone have that experience? One of the things that I noticed in regards to practical application is that I had read everything Srila Prabhupada had ever said on the subject of forgiveness. Every quote, I had read it many times. And I was holding on to grudges. It's like kind of interesting, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, if you read everything Prabhupada says on humility, will you become humble? If you read everything he says on not being envious, will you be not envious? If you read everything about commitment, or vows, or sincerity, does that mean it will happen? I learned personally some practical tools, which I applied, and as a result, this is a true story. From 1986 to 1994, I held on to some. No, from 1983 to 2004, I held on to some very strong resentments for a number of devotees. And I was given some tools to release those, and I released all of those resentments in 10 minutes. And guess what? Those tools had nothing to do with philosophy. How could I do it in 10 minutes? Because I read everything Prabhupada said about it, because I wanted to do it, but I just needed someone to say, you just do this. You think this way, and it's gone. So my experience is that practical application in step-by-step methods is essential. And that is one of the things that we as Bhagavat Life are addressing. What else? What else came up out of this skit? Yes?
It's very difficult to maintain the enthusiasm once you go away from the association.
Difficult to maintain the enthusiasm. Have you experienced that? I once did a calculation. I said, if you hear a good Bhagavatam class, the inspiration will last from 3 days to 3.5 weeks, depending on who gave the class, how good it was, and how into it you were. I mean, this was just observed experience. And is that true? Is that your experience, more or less? It's like there's a certain time limit to the inspiration, isn't it? Have you ever gone to a class, ran home to tell your wife it was an incredible class, or husband, and said, what did they say? And you can't remember? I don't know. It's incredible. What did they say? I don't know. It was a really good class. So, we are all challenged, every one of us, in taking inspiration and maintaining it daily. I was speaking in my last class on vows. There's a principle called managing your decisions. You make a decision, you're inspired in the class. And then what do you do when you get home? You have to manage it every single day. And there's another thing that I noticed, which is a big problem, which they kind of intimated. You go to a class and you learn what you should do. Right? This is what you're supposed to do. Do you have to do it? Do you have to do it? You don't have to do it. It's totally up to you. How many classes have you heard where actually came home and did? exactly what you were told to do? I can't think of any, actually, to tell you the truth. So, in the last seminar, for example, I asked the devotees to write down what they were committed to and what percent they are committed to that. 10%, 50%. And then I asked them how they can become 100% committed. So, that's an educational style where you do not leave it up to the student to decide whether they're going to apply it, but you give them tools, how they will apply it, and how they will assess it. That's another aspect of Bhagavad life education, which we call integrative education. We're integrating, we're applying it practically, and what else are we doing? That's the third one. It's practical, it's integratable, and it's relevant. How about that class? He was in Mayapur, and the MIHE has really messed him up. He's got so much Shastric knowledge, he can't relate to anybody anymore. Have you ever been to a class that didn't relate to you? Yes or no? Have you ever been to 2 classes that didn't relate? Or 3? Have you ever been to any classes that did relate to you? So, I think this is another problem in of course I'm being overly sarcastic, having been raised in a Jewish family, so please forgive me for that. It's not that bad in Islam. But the reality is that it requires an expert teacher to be able to take knowledge and relate it to a person's practical situation. And not just speak over their head So we all have this experience? So Bhagavad life is meant to make it. If we have a flip chart here and a scribe, where did our flip chart go? Anyway, our plan is to teach Krishna consciousness in a way which you can integrate into your life by giving you practical steps. It's sustainable, and most of all, it is relevant. How can you be Krishna consciousness? How can you be Krishna conscious at work? How can you give up empty? How can you increase your determination to follow the regular principles? How you can chant or jump, all these things. We're going to go into the questions, or I should ask the questions. Ask that? No. These questions. Okay. Does anybody have any questions? Okay. If you don't have any questions, we'll ask you some questions. Is that all right? Okay. Let me explain what we want to do now. We want to get some feedback from you about how education can help you in your own spiritual life. So, the first question we're asking is, if you could know 3 things that you personally struggle with in your Krishna consciousness. Isn't there something missing there? Anyway, I'll have to return, but there's a missing piece of it. So, first thing we'd like you to do, who needs pen and paper? Anybody? Can somebody pass out, who's ever raising their hand? Pass out a pen and paper? We'd like you to write down 3 things that you struggle with in your Krishna consciousness. And then we would like you to write down a hypothetical course that the Krishna conscious movement could give that would deal with that, and you can outline that course. What the topic might be, what the aims might be. Does anybody have any questions on that? 3 issues you deal with, and 3 courses that could deal with those issues. Issues that are important for you. And what 3 courses? We're going to get your own reflection on your own needs and some feedback from you. And we'll give you about 5 minutes to do this.
Give us an idea of what your thoughts are about Bhagavad life, because that's very important. It's a process of reciprocation. At this time, my godbrother, who I took some time to introduce before, I wanted to say something really quick about him, because there is a saying that the greatest gift that we can give to anyone is the gift of ourselves, the gift of oneself. And Purusha Shukta Prabhu, he has done that. He has exemplified that. He actually has taken it upon himself as a part of the spiritual care. In the GBC meetings, he volunteered himself to be a part of spiritual care, and in doing that, he had a vision. He came up with a vision of putting this program together, this Bhagavad Life. And as I look around the room, I see a lot of scholars, and I can see that there are many scholars here that have given their lives in Mayapur and dedicated themselves to teaching, and have so many devotees have been benefited, and there's so much value for what they've done. Purusha is simply trying to add something to that, and I think he's done that very well. Purusha Shukta Prabhu.
Well, we'd like to thank you for coming to this presentation. One lady, she kindly asked me, so you're going to speak about overcoming flickering devotion and isolation. Can you explain what isolation is? And so I thought that was a good question, because it's the title of our presentation. So actually, the nature of this presentation, it's about a kind of mutual exploration into how Vaishnava education can work for devotees, and can work for new devotees, anyone who's exposed to Krishna consciousness. And so this is a question that my Guru Maharaj, Bhakti Tirtha Maharaj, he was kind of imploring some of us to look into it thoroughly in terms of training his own disciples. And he was creating this online community a couple years ago, and somehow exploded into this national project over the course of a couple of years. We spent time with the Education Ministry in Radhadesh last summer discussing this issue of how to enhance education and make it transfer into the life of devotees and go beyond a classroom, a nice experience in India or at school institution somewhere in Europe or at your local temple, into your life, integrating into your daily thoughts, your daily behavior and reactions. So we ended up studying with different people who have had success with this in organizational learning. And we attended conferences in San Francisco and consulted with people who are professional in this area, and came up with different possible solutions that we could offer to the devotees, offer to our movement. So I'd like to just briefly share with you what this thing we're calling Bhagavad Life is more or less about in terms of education. And bring that up. So, as we saw with the skit that Yadanath and Beth... Do we need the lights on? Maybe we can see what they're on. Can you turn them on just so... Yeah, I guess you need it off. Okay. Hopefully I'll be able to see my computer. Okay, so we saw that there, as you saw in the skit, there are some issues. There's some challenges to education, practicality, relevance, integration. So we saw there's some solutions that are needed. One is a holistic curriculum, where beyond just the theoretical, hypothetical realm of education, that we need curriculum that addresses the full devotee, the full person. The material, the interpersonal, our mind, our emotions, our values, our integrity. The social, how we relate to other people, how we contribute to community, how we interact with other people, how we interact with the greater world. We need curriculum that, of course, addresses the spiritual, which ultimately nests the former domains. So, this is our tradition. We in the Vaishnava tradition, address the conditional nature of a person, and they're constitutional. in such a way that in addressing the material, the psychological, the social, it leads to the spiritual. This is Dharma and Sanatana Dharma. So, the notion is that we need courses that span sufficiently to address these aspects of human life: livelihood, finance, material, vows, dealing with our emotions and our mind, courses on parenting, courses on chanting, examples of a holistic span. And even in one course, if you had a course on vows, which deal with more of the psychological realm of our values and integrity, that it also covers the spiritual. If you have a course on vows, you address the material, the social, and the spiritual element related to that. If you have a course that's more spiritual on japa, and it also relates to, it addresses issues, the other aspects of human life that relate to japa. How your relationships at work, or how the mindset that you carry, or how you sleep, or what you eat, how it relates to chanting. So in this way, fully connecting our tradition with the experience of a person. And also blended learning was something, this is something that's very cutting edge in organizational learning, where learning transfers to the desk, as they say, of the learner. Basically, blended learning includes a blend of live and self-paced mediums. Live mediums such as web, teleconferencing, which especially web conferencing enables you to have a very personal, real-time interaction with teachers, with peers, from the comfort of your desk, your home. On the service training, where people come right to your service situation. If you're distributing books, Vaisheshika can come right to your spot on the street and train you. Mentoring, where you have somebody who's very aware of your situation, your needs, and they're personally involved in your life, week to week, month to month. Having retreats where you step out of your situation and into one that's very carefully suitable to create an atmosphere and an experience. Also self-paced mediums, such as, which are totally different than live. It means in your own time. So educational media, having through technology the ability to do collaborative projects where you can have people in different parts of the country, but they're all working on a similar project in their own time, and through online systems they're able to work together, have discussions together. So if you had a course on cultivating the holy name, the way that blended learning would work is that you can have a personal phone call to begin with. People can then introduce themselves online, why they're taking the course, who they are. Fellow classmates can read those, get to know each other very well before they actually meet. And then have an initial web meeting where I'd love to show it to you. I don't know if anybody's seen these web conferences, but it's very personal, very user-friendly. So blended learning, the notion is that you can know the teacher, you can know each other, and then you get to interact with each other much more deeply. And then later during that week, you can hear lectures, meditations, you can respond, you can develop an understanding of the curriculum at hand, and then have a discussion, and then another meeting, another live meeting. Time for more personal study, perhaps more group interaction in your own time, and then again, a live meeting. So in this way, the learning process, it spans over time, and you're interacting in it from your own life situation. And then it all culminates in a weekend retreat. Imagine going through 3 weeks of this kind of learning, and then finally meeting everybody. The kind of connection you'd have. So in this way, blended learning, there's unlimited combinations, configurations, ways that it can be designed to deliver learning right to the life experience, life situation of the person. Another notion that is out there by this gentleman, Etienne Wegner, is what's called community of practice, or community of learning. And this is it's the idea of shared commitment and shared values. That unlike a lot of web interaction that's out there, where you have people who they're coming from all sorts of different frames of mind, different levels of commitment in spiritual life, can converse and interact. But with community practice, it's the opposite. And I'll explain that. So in this situation, this picture, it illustrates how we're kind of displaced. And we're in all parts of the country. By the way, there are some ladies represented here. They kind of look like Eskimos, but there's a lady up there on the right in Maine, and over there in San Diego. So through community, through online systems, or let's say through a blended learning program, through a particular program, say a course on vows, all these people can go through a common doorway, a common course, experience. Through an online network, connect with each other. And under the guidance of a mature teacher, and with this online system, all of their materials that they need to read and listen to, and archives of what they've done, and a forum where they can interact with each other personally, with the teacher in groups, is there. So even though they're all over the country, they can connect with each other in a very robust, personal way. And the teacher can have office hours. And in this way, they can work in groups, they can work in pairs, go through the curriculum in a very deep way, personal way. And this way be connected. Even though they're displaced, they're connected in this common educational program and really meeting each other's minds and hearts in a very constructive way in their life situation. So they're connecting very deeply, even though they're displaced physically. So then, with blended learning, after the course, the learning really begins. So that if say, a person was having trouble with their vows, in this case, he could seek advice from the teacher who's available, again, through this system. And that teacher, knowing the close relationship he had with one student, could also encourage this person who's challenged to talk with his peer and reveal the problem. And then the three of them work it out together, resolve it, and share it with the rest of the students, who then become inspired to share their own issues, whether it's success or whether there are challenges. So in this way, it creates a sense of community, of practitioners, a community of learning it can be perpetual. So these are some, you can turn the lights on. I mean, there's many elements of what we're calling life learning that enable learning to transfer into the experience, to the life situation of people, to really create an ethos that lasts, an educational environment that lasts. And so we're very blessed to have, of course, there's no educational environment without educators, without teachers. This is our philosophy, this is just reality, that education is personal. It's the relationship between a teacher and a student. And so the mission of Bhagavad Life is to connect some of our best teachers. We're very blessed to be working with Satchidananda Maharaj, Krishna Chaitra Prabhu, Ravindra Sarup Prabhu, Shesha Prabhu, Vishaka Prabhu, many, Vrajalila Prabhu, many of our greatest educators, and trying to connect them personally in your life. And so, how this is taking shape, although we have all these, we kind of applied some technological systems and learning systems, we have programs that we're delivering in just a few weeks. A whole series of programs that will bring this to life. And so at this point, I'd like to have Vrajalila introduce our programs.
Thank you, Purusha Shakta Prabhu. Do you feel a little more clear with what we're doing here? Yes? Yes? Thank you. He's a genius. He really is. And a genius that's making an immensely wonderful offering for Srila Prabhupada. Kunteya Prabhu. There you go. Thank you, Purusha. So Kunteya, for some of you may not be too familiar with Kunteya because he's a devotee that travels all over the world. He's known for his amazing, tremendous offerings that he makes for the GBC. One of them is that he's just recently been asked to be the GBC for Iran. So that's right. Okay. And because we're speaking about education, Kunti Prabhu also has a PhD in Vedic psychology. Vedics, I asked him, what does that mean? And of course he says it's an Eastern-Western understanding of psychology, mostly Eastern. And he studied with Matza Avatar Prabhu in Italy. Kunti is from Italy, and I've been very fortunate to do a course with Kunti in Bangladesh. That was my great fortune. And the other thing about Kunti is that he does this amazing service for Japataka Maharaj. He wants me to stop, so we can go on and on and on. Kunti Prabhu.
We are not here to talk about me, but about the offerings of this system. So, Purusha Shukta Prabhu gave a little introduction of how it works. And in the next three presentations, we'll talk about three particular approaches. One is what we call Dharma links. We present courses especially for new people. Here's the enlarged version of this postcard. Then there will be also the Bhagavad Life workshops and the retreats. So I am asked to talk about this Dharma Links. Dharma Links is the same blended education offered especially to new people. To people who express some interest in Krishna consciousness. And this is an extremely relevant, essential and urgent offering, because I think we all have the experience of thinking, what will happen to all these people who take books, they show interest, they visit Krishna.com, or they visit so many of the other Vaishnava websites, or the people who somehow get in touch with the festivals, the Ratha Yatra, and other aspects of preaching. I would like to share a couple of quotes with you. This is what Srila Prabhupada said. Srila Prabhupada was very much... Can you make it bigger, please? Srila Prabhupada was very much aware of this issue. This was in an evening darshan. You can make 100, 150 here. This is in an evening darshan in Bombay in August 70. So you just put it down from here. Okay, so this was in an evening darshan. Srila Prabhupada was discussing this issue. Immediately, a person cannot be renounced. Therefore, gradually, step by step. So, unless there is proper training, now, just like we are selling millions of copies of these books, they are reading, and how many of them are coming forward? So, it requires training. Training is essential to make them Krishna conscious. So Srila Prabhupada was perfectly aware we need that link. We have the first contact, we give the book, they see a festival, they see a media event, but then we need some tool to connect and train these new people. And this is the idea of Dharma links. To give an example, the first offering we are planning and working on is called Introduction to Mantra Meditation. There's a lot of interest in yoga, in meditation, in peace of mind, in harmonizing one's own life. And this will be a 20-hour course in which people learn how to chant Hare Krishna. And we discussed for weeks the aims. One of the major aims is that they learn to chant Hare Krishna regularly for the rest of their lives, or at least they have such a positive experience of chanting Hare Krishna that experience will stay with them, and they will be willing and enthusiastic to introduce new people to the chant. So this is an offering that we do individually and to all the temples, to whoever cultivating new people or getting in touch with new people, they can connect to this Dharma link and have the teachers Bhagavad Life cultivating these people for you. Just another quote. The next photo is already on. See? This was something Srila Prabhupada wrote in a letter in 1969. He's saying, any person who becomes interested, try to educate him or her rightly. Everything depends on preaching. So generally at that time, 1969, people would, if they were interested, they would join the temples and they would be assisted back to program and so on for training them. And nowadays, there are many, many, many interested people who are not willing or able to join the temples. So we need this system of educating them, him or her rightly, in a way that they can be based at home, they can live very far from the temples, and still receive this training and cultivation and education regularly. So this is the idea of Dharma links. And this course, Introduction to Mantra Meditation, will be taught by Mahatma Prabhu and Vishaka Prabhu. So I would like to request her, ask a question. What is that motivated you to become a teacher in Dharma links?
Thank you very much. So the question is, what motivated me to be a teacher in this Dharma links? And I must say the first and foremost thing was seeing the incredible sincerity and thoughtfulness of Dimyambar and her husband Purusha Shukta. I was very inspired that these devotees are coming forward with this modern technology, using the modern technology in the service of Krishna, and to see their intelligent way in which they're doing it. When they asked me to become part of it, I was very honored if I can participate and contribute in some way. The technology itself, of course, as we all know, is amazing, the internet, and we need to use it more fully in the service of Srila Prabhupada and Krishna. Perhaps we have not done justice yet in that area at all. We're just at the very beginning. But I can sit in the remote corner of the world where we live, Sharanagati in British Columbia, and be able to communicate with people throughout North America and Canada, and in fact anywhere. This program is for North America and Canada. So that in itself was was very enlivening for me, to hear that they're doing it, and to hear that they wanted my help, whatever I can do. Thank you.
Vishaka Mataji, thank you so much. Everybody knows Vishaka's contribution to the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. We all know how she has used technology to make education relevant by making tapes of Srila Prabhupada, and this has been something that she's offered consistently throughout the years. Thank you, Vishaka Mataji. Divya will do the next presentation on the retreats, and these are some of the benefits that you get from being a part of Bhagavad Life. And Divya will not want me to speak a lot about her, but I do want to say one thing. This devotee, she speaks by her example. I lived with her for 6 months. She was always in prayer. She was always chanting. And she was always finding prayers that were relevant to chanting the holy name. And so I'm grateful and thankful to see her being able to offer this to devotees in a nice way for Srila Prabhupada.
Thank you very much. I would just like to say a few words about the japa retreats. Raise your hand if you have done one of our japa retreats. Wonderful. At least a few people, thank you. Initially, this idea started with spiritual care, the Spiritual Care Initiative for North America, which is run by the Spiritual Strategic Planning Team, and these are the leaders of North America. And we requested Sachinanda Maharaj to come, since he's been doing these japa retreats all over the world for quite a few years. And we requested him to just come and facilitate such retreats in North America for the devotees here. And we had one retreat last year, and this was very successful. And then we organized 2 more retreats in spring, one month ago. And he couldn't come due to health issues. And we had, my husband and I, we were like on our own with his blessings, we didn't want to cancel it. And it turned out to be a very, very enthusing and inspiring offering on behalf of Satyananda Maharaj and our spiritual masters. And we just realized that we want this to continue. And all the devotees who came to the Japa retreat said, please continue. What happened is that in 4 days, actually 5 days, everybody felt so transformed. Not just in their japa, but everything that supports japa. And when you look at our life, japa is really the most important service in our life, as Srila Prabhupada stressed, chanting the holy name. And not that just that, but whatever stage we go through in life, we chant the holy name, we chant our rounds. So, that's why the Japa retreat is so successful and so attractive and transforming, because it's so relevant to each one of us. I was just so touched to witness these wonderful transformations in the devotees' hearts. No matter what level you are in your practice of bhakti, something happens during these Japa retreats. It's a real miracle of Lord Chaitanya. So I'd like to just, maybe a few of you who attended the Japa retreat, to just say something, just share one sentence about your experience, something that you would like to...
Three sentences would be fine.
Okay, 3. My husband is more generous. For me, my husband and I, we're the organizers, the coordinators, and we do experience the Japa retreat maybe from a slightly different perspective, not as a participant so much, but as coordinators. I'd like to hear maybe some of those of you who participated, if you'd like to share, how is it from a participant perspective, and how is it transforming for you? Krishna Das Kaviraj.
Hare Krishna. Well, I've been sort of chanting Hare Krishna since 1974 when I got initiated here. And I really felt that after attending this Japa workshop, it's the first time that I really knew how to chant Hare Krishna.
One of the things that we cover in the Japa retreats is starting from pronunciation and sit properly, how to concentrate your mind, the 4 keys to successful japa. And I can give you just one to advertise it. You can start practicing right away. When you chant, try to focus on just one mantra. Don't think of all those 108 beats of the japa mala. Just try to focus on hearing and concentrating on just one mantra. And then you go to the next. And see how it works for you. Don't think, I have to sit down and focus on 16 minutes. Just concentrate on one mantra and be present, like Brother Hariprabhu was sharing. Be present now with Krishna. Be present with the holy name for just one mantra. And in this way, the mind then is ready for the next. Just one key for you. Anybody else would like to share? Yadana. Yes.
Please say your name.
Mohan Prabhu. This is one thing, and another thing about the Japa retreat is just wonderful association. In 5 days, we get to know each other so well, and we become friends, and we remember our names.
Hare Krishna. I was actually fortunate and by the mercy of I had a chance to go to the Japa retreat. Before I went to the Japa retreat, my rounds were so mechanical. They were like, I didn't know why I knew why I was supposed to do the rounds, but I don't know how I was doing them. They were just a burden on me. But after I came back from the Japa retreat, I really enjoy my rounds now. So, like Mataji told, one mantra at a time. That was one of the keys that really helped me. And there were so many realizations that were shared by many people there that really helped on Japa daily. So this is one of the things I can say. It's an amazing thing. Like it's Japa retreat transforms everything.
Thank you. I attended 2 Japa retreats, one in the Washington, D.C. area, one upstate New York, and they're truly unique experiences in ISKCON. I think we're really good at this kind of festival where there's a lot going on and you jump from this thing to that thing to the other thing. The Japa retreats are really valuable because they're really, there's time for actual reflection. We're doing a lot of internal work. We're faced with basically 2 things, the holy name and ourselves, and we're working on these things. And I'm not exaggerating when I say that I really believe that these Japa retreats can revolutionize ISKCON, because it's putting into practice something. I don't know if this is one of those Prabhupada said things that isn't true, but according to legend, at some point, I think it was in the mid-70s, Prabhupada said, okay, we're making devotees, this is good, it's time to boil the milk. And yeah, he did say that. So, and I guess to a certain degree that has happened, but not to, I think, a really large extent. This Japa retreat boils the milk in a major way, where each individual person is really working on their own spiritual life, and the result of that is bound to be an acutely spiritually advanced person, a pure devotee. Remember, Jesus Christ, Srila Prabhupada, these are examples. We can reach that level. It's not like we can never reach that, right? Prabhupada said we can all become like that, a pure devotee. So if Prabhupada, as one pure devotee, could do everything that he did, if everybody who's already so far attended the Japa retreats becomes a pure devotee, imagine what that's going to do. So the milk is going to boil into the sweetest substance that I can think of. And it's just going to raise the consciousness of ISKCON, which is going to raise the consciousness of the world. And apart from that, I just also wanted to comment on what you said about relationships, because that's also key. I know one of the Japa retreats was about 12 people. I think the most was 70 or 80 people, right? And relationships form and relationships deepen. It's sort of a byproduct of this work, and it's beautiful.
I just found Vishwari and Vishaka.
Actually, Yadinath covered most of what I wanted to say. But I'll just second it that the Japa retreat for me was ISKCON at its best. And one of the realizations I had, this is the second one I went to. I went to one in Croatia with Satyananda Maharaj, and it was wonderful. And from that, I felt like, yes, I definitely want to go on another one of these. So when the opportunity came, I was leaping at it. And one of the realizations I had, and I took home both times from it, was that, yes, this is about my relationship with Krishna. The Holy Name is a person. Really, we hear it all the time, but I know for myself, never realized it, get so mechanical about my japa. And just came back with this understanding, yes, this is my relationship to Krishna, how I chant, this is so important, and Krishna is seeing me. He is a person, and this is a two-way relationship. He's observing my japa, and he's reciprocated. So, please, if you ever get the opportunity, please take it. Make the time for it. It's really worth it.
On that note, we have 2 more japa retreats coming up in August and September. And we have a special retreat just for leaders, GBCs, sannyasis, they're like very senior devotees in our movement, in leadership position, like in a very small circle of devotees. You know how management is, you tend to get so busy that the japa is sometimes the most inattentive thing you do during the day. So I don't say that our leaders do that, but just to have we organized a japa retreat just particularly for leaders, and Shaka Prabhu attended that. And I'd just like to ask you, what was your experience? It was just 12 devotees, a very small group.
Well, it was strange that I was at a japa retreat for leaders because I'm not a leader. In fact, there were 12 of us and 6 were ladies. So, take it how you like. Perhaps this kind is changing, or perhaps the leaders are too busy to attend. But we were, at first we were disappointed because Sachinandananda Swami couldn't make it due to health reasons. And even some of us were wavering whether or not we should go. But we decided to go. There was a good group from Sharanagati village, where I live. And we were very, very happy that we had made that decision. We were in an ideal setting in Ojai, California. And we had incredible prasadam. We didn't have to think or worry at all about prasadam. It was delightful prasadam. Wonderful association. And we bonded through the holy name and around the holy name. And I think it's a memory that we will take with us for the rest of our lives, that small group. So we're very grateful that everyone that came and made the commitment, and everyone attended everything. The schedule was wonderful. It's not like here where you have to scratch your head, should I go here or there or there. We all chanted japa together, we all heard about the holy name together, studied the scriptures regarding the holy name together, and it was profound.
So we entitled this Going Beyond Flickering Devotion in Isolation. And japa is really the first step to start. When you actually have this connection with the holy name, first of all, you don't feel isolated. And second of all, you go beyond the flickering japa, the flickering anything else, flickering consciousness. So, thank you very much. I wish we could see more of your japa retreats, and because it's all about getting together to help each other to perfect our chanting. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And before we bring Mahatma Prabhu back, there's one statement by Hari Kirtan Prabhu that he shared at the Japa retreat. It says, the Japa retreat was the most powerful and important event in my spiritual life since my initiation 30 years ago. It is a great example of ISKCON at its best. So I think Hari Kirtan Prabhu says it all. Mahatma?
So, I am going to present a few things which we are doing, and you're going to get information on all of this. So, in case you are falling asleep, how many of you are falling asleep? Did all the people who are sleeping raise their hands? Okay, can everybody stand up for a minute? It's time to wake up. We don't have much more time. Okay, everybody stand on your chair. Get in your chairs. Okay, if you're afraid to stand on your chair, okay. I'm just trying to follow what Tony Robbins says. He gets everyone to stand on their chair, but I guess we're not as adventurous as this crowd. Raise your hands and yell Garanga as loud as you can. That wasn't loud at all. Try it again. Okay, we'll do it one more time. It has to be twice as loud. Thank you very much. So, I want to briefly tell you about 3 other courses we're doing. Krishna Sutta 9, Divyambara. Don't say Divyambara, she'll get mad at you. Divyambara. She'll correct you. She won't get mad at you. She'll smile and correct you. We spent day after day after day, and we made a list on flip charts, many flip charts, of every need we felt the devotees face in their spiritual life, just as we asked you to do. And we started but titling courses that we could possibly do. So the idea is that we want to address the important needs. Srila Prabhupada told the GBC, your first duty is to make sure everybody's chanting 16 rounds and following the 4 regular principles. How many principles? Because some people don't follow 4. So he said all 4. So the course on vows was an effort to do that. to help people in their commitment to follow the Four Regular Principles. We also are intending, not yet, to do a course on sexual purity, because it is the most difficult of the 4 vows for most people. So here in Bhagavad Life, we've got the japa and the 4 Regular Principles. This is very important. So that's a service we are offering. And that's one of the courses, those of you who took the vow seminar know, that's one of the courses we did. But basically, I wanted to read, one second. What you'll learn. Okay, here's some of the things that you'll learn. The critical difference in thinking between a committed person and everyone else. Would that be useful to know? Committed people think differently than 93, 97% of the rest of the people in the world. And those are the 3% of the people who are practically running everything. So if you want to go up in your spiritual life, commitment would help, wouldn't it? Backwards thinking that causes you to break a vow or commitment and then blame this on something that has nothing to do with breaking the vow or commitment. That would be helpful to understand, wouldn't it? Beliefs you don't even know you have. It's not what you know that's hurting you, it's what you don't know that you don't know. Right? Or what you don't know that's hurting you, or what you don't know that you don't know. So we have many beliefs that may be inhibiting our ability to follow vows as well as we could, and we don't even know what they are. So we help you in uncovering that, strategies to deal with guilt and feelings of failure, preparing yourself for initiation or reconfirming your vows if you've already been initiated, and about 13 other subjects. So, can I read you a testimonial? Can I have your permission? I was helped to deal with my own issues in a way that transformed my ability to commit. There is no question that devotees who are not 100% committed to their vows and relationships should take this workshop. My only regret is that I didn't have these tools when I first became a devotee. I can't thank you enough for this workshop. So I think everyone who's going to get initiated should take it, and everyone who is having difficulty in maintaining their vows or wants to make sure they can maintain them should take it. That was the intention. Then we're going to do that online. It's going to be a 20-hour course. You can take it anywhere in America, North America, and that is scheduled to be the end of June if everything works as scheduled. Then we're offering a special weekend retreat in your temple. Custom made, 2 seminars, prayers, a seminar on prayer, and a seminar on forgiveness, which will begin Friday night, and will go all day Saturday and Sunday, and will be followed by 2 online courses. So when you get out of the seminar, you will have time to integrate and associate with the people that you were with in the seminar, because as we saw in the play, what happens after the seminar? So, can I read a quote? I really like this quote because this devotee actually was helping me develop a seminar on forgiveness, but she couldn't do it, and she's a counselor. She's a professional counselor for 30 years. So, I don't want to my heart, but it makes me feel good to read it. So, you all know I'm humble, right? So it's okay if I read it, right? Please accept my humble obeisances, Mr. Prabhupada. I want to thank you so much for doing this seminar, Living in Total Forgiveness. I don't know when I enjoy the seminar more. I have been to many pricey conferences, but never got as much useful information and hands-on experiences in your forgiveness course. Did that make me feel good? And she only paid $5 for this course. But the price has gone up since, because this is a famous course now. Thank you so much for the opportunity to work with my anarthas. I didn't realize how much resentment I had been carrying around with me, and I'm happy to be rid of much of that. But more importantly, to know how to deal with the residuals. In essence, devotees may want to be forgiving, but lack the step-by-step how-tos to achieve each component of success. I really could see how Krishna was orchestrating everything on my behalf in order to teach me some very important lessons in my experience of dealing with this material world. Again, I'm feeling blessed to have been able to participate in the seminar. So, the wonderful thing that I found is that many issues are very easy to deal with if you spend a whole day. How many of you, when was the last time you spent 8 hours on your issues of forgiveness? was the last time you spent 7 hours? And one devotee, 6 hours, 5 hours, 4 hours, 3 hours. It's not that we can't do it, it's just we don't spend the time. So when you give devotees an opportunity, what I've seen in my own experience, I've done this workshop 7 times, it's kind of like you're chopping a tree down. So the first few hours I say, where's your resentment at? And I'll go, it's an 8, it's a 9. One devotee said it was an 11 on a scale of 10. So we start doing exercise. Okay, now where's it at? It's at a 7. Okay, we're at 2 o'clock. Where's it at? It's 4 o'clock. Now it's at 3. So most of the devotees will get into 3 or less by the end of the seminar, and then we'll continue after. So it's not difficult. It's just tools and time. That's all. That's all it is. That japa retreat, same thing. It's just all you do is focus on japa. How can you lose? All you do is focus on vows for 1 month, 20 hours, 5 hours a week. You know, it's a wonderful program. So we've combined that. If you're interested in having us do that in your temple, let us know. We've scheduled one in Toronto, and there's some in the ether. But if you are interested in having me come and doing that in your seminar, in your temple, then at our table out there, you can talk to us. And was there something I'm missing? Okay. So thank you very much. And now, yeah, of course, yeah, we're doing an online japa workshop for new people, and then we're doing weekend japa workshops. And we're also negotiating with some temples to design courses just for that temple, for their congregation, based on the needs of that congregation, like a 6-month program of live and online courses. So that's also another thing we can do in your community. If you feel you don't have enough senior people or you need more education, we can design courses for you. And
we're very fortunate to have Narayani from Vrindavan. She's coming for 3 months, and she'll be helping with the japa workshops.
Can you give the dates and times for the japa retreat?
Here.
The date is DC. It's August 12th through 8th to the 12th, and in Atlanta, it's outside of Atlanta, it's September 12th through 16th. These japa retreats.
Oh, okay. I forgot to tell you about the course on prayer. You say, well, a course on prayer doesn't sound like anything. It's not actually, really, it's not exactly a course on prayer. It's a course on priorities in your life, what's important to you. Because a lot of times we pray for things that aren't important. Isn't it? Srila Prabhupada said to the devotees, what's the difference between you and me? Everybody said, you're a true devotee. This and that. He said, no. The difference between you and me is I can't fall down and you can. So then next morning, Srila Kirti was with Prabhupada, and he saw Prabhupada praying to the deities. And then when they went back to their room, he said, Prabhupada, what were you praying to the deities for? And Prabhupada said, I was praying that I don't fall down. He said, but Prabhupada, you said you can't fall down. He said, yeah, that's why I can't fall down. So what we do in the seminars, we look at the very things which are challenging our bhakti. Those things that we know are very difficult for us, that we sometimes think, I hope I'm not in that situation because I couldn't make it. And we develop prayers that deal with our particular obstacles. And then we look at the positive side, where we want to go, where we want to be. And what I found from doing this seminar is that most devotees set their sights in Krishna consciousness about here, because they think that's as far as I can go. So we do exercises to set it up here, where it should be, and then we create prayers to bring it there. We all have an internal blueprint of how Krishna conscious we could be. Did you know that? If you ask any devotee, how Krishna conscious do you think you can be? They'll tell you, I don't think I'm going to make it in this life. Someone else will say, I'm going to be a gopi. 3 more years I'm entering into, my Ekadas Bhava, I'm going to know everything. I mean, it's true, because I've asked devotees. You'll get the whole gamut. It's amazing. No, I'm not doing very good. I don't think I'll make it. Maybe the next life. We work with that, but it's a blueprint we all have of what we think we're capable of, and we help devotees with that blueprint to upgrade it to a higher standard, and then create prayers out of that. So it's more than just a prayer workshop. So that combination, prayer and forgiveness together, it's a power-filled weekend. It's very transformational. And now I want to introduce again or GBC for Iran. Is there someone on GBC that doesn't like you? That sent you to Iran? So he's going to tell us about
communities. Communities is a big subject. I'll just say a few words. First of all, of course, spiritual life, it's an individual undertaking, but there is also a collective aspect, especially in this age, Sankirtan, doing things together, advancing together. Srila Prabhupada said something. Okay. This is, he wrote directly in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it's a purport from the 3rd canto, 29 chapters, text 17. Say, friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interests and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajati, of the same caste. So here I see many devotees based in North America, which includes USA and Canada, but there are many backgrounds. I see devotees from South America, I see many devotees from India or Indian background, different language, but actually we are all Swajati, we are all the same caste. Srila Prabhupada told the devotees that when they ask what Gotra, what dynasty are you from, you should say Achyuta Gotra. So we are all Achyuta Gotra, we're all family. And these programs will help us realize more and more our interdependence. How can we all help each other? And I'm very impressed. This I must stress, I'm very impressed by how serious is Purusha Shukta Prabhu about quality. How serious and sincere is into having this program, not just to have some courses here and there, some seminar here and there, some sporadic inspiration, but he wants this to become a platform for creating community. Local communities and all continental communities. He's harassing me since months, I have to say, in a good sense. I live in Mayapur. I generally finish my rounds early, then I go to the office for some quiet time, doing things which is not easy to do during the most busy time. And he comes on Skype. And I'm there 6:30, 7:30, 700 in the morning, preparing to do things. And then it comes this sound from Skype. And that's it. That's Purusha Shukta. And he always brings up a very interesting thing. I'm very happy. I'm saying it dramatic, but I'm very happy. He brings up always these issues about the values, the ethos of education, the community of learning, the community of practice. And it's months we're working together in this way. And one thing impressed me very much is that even yesterday we were discussing, I was telling him how, look, these tools, these workshops, these Dharma Links offerings, it can become big all over the world. Because there is need for this all over the world. Whoever can speak English can take these courses from Malaysia to India, to Sweden, to anywhere in the world, South Africa. But he said, no, we want to focus on North America. We want to have quality development, quality community building through these courses and seminars, through Bhagavat life, the life of the Bhagavatas, especially in North America. And I see this Bhagavata Life program is a chance for North America, ISKCON North America, to again take the lead in this movement. This is cutting edge material. This is really trailblazing. This blended education is something that even in the material world we're right now discovering. Universities, corporations. So ISKCON North America, through the help of all these facilitators, mentors, educators, teachers, can really take the lead in creating community, optimizing, capitalizing on this opportunity of having internet, of having communication, and really build friendship among ourselves and helping each other in spiritual life. Thank you very much. And now I give again to Mahatma Prabhu for his final presentation.
So I'm going to do a little inspirational talk here to get you fired up. I used to be a Sacred Time leader, so I'm good at firing people up for a few minutes. We're going to give you forms which have a list of all the offerings we're making, as well as a newsletter after this presentation, and you can fill them out here, take them home. There are of course offerings we have. If you fill them out here at Festival Inspiration, you get a discount. I don't know if that's clear on the card, but if you talk to us, we will ask for your special discount. Right? It's not on the card, okay. So, what I wanted to talk about, before I forget, is Rajali is going to do a seminar here tomorrow, same time. And the title is The Heart of Loving Exchanges. So, Rajali is an incredible presenter, and she has a very big heart and is full of love, and she wants to exchange with you. So I encourage you to be part of that. It's going to take Krishna consciousness out of your head, put it in your heart. So, before we go, and before we close, I'm going to speak a little, and Rajali will speak, and we'll give you these forms. I wanted to talk about a very important subject for all of us. It's called investing in ourselves. And I want to read a few things that I think will inspire you. You are the same today as you'll be in 5 years, except for the books you read. Of course, we can say the rounds we chant. It's basically except for what we learn. That's what's changing us. The books we read, the tapes we hear, the videos we watch. I'm talking about educational self-improvement, like that. If I am through learning, then I am through. So, I know a lot of times when we present these courses to devotees, they think, but I have to go here and take them, or it costs money and so many things. Some of the most successful people recommend that 3% of all the money that ever comes to you, you should set aside and invest it in your personal education to develop yourself. And that's what some of the most successful people in the world do. I think it's a wonderful formula. We should treat ourselves. We should take care of ourselves. There is I would like to rate an experience I had. I was looking at a video of one trainer. He said, you are probably one skill away from doubling your income. Of course, this is what the subsidy was talking about. He said, you're probably one skill away from doubling your income. I said, that's a really interesting thought, isn't it? Have you ever heard something, learned something, read something, that one thing solved the problem you had for 10 years? Have you ever had that experience? It just gave you a vision on it, it was like lights went off? And that was it? Nobody had that experience? Oh, you're all asleep. Okay, we're going to wake up. Have any of you had that experience before? It's just you hear a class and it's like something you've been trying to do, and you feel so grateful that you went to that class, took that seminar, heard that CD, and then you look back and say, that was so valuable. I would have paid $100 to go to that. I would have paid $500. It's just like, what if you learned something that saved a marriage? How much would you pay for that? $1,000? That'd be pretty cheap to save a marriage, wouldn't it? So I don't think we can underestimate investing in ourselves, but I don't think we should look at it in terms of time and money. I think it's necessary. So, a personal thing that I did, I heard on a CD, a person said, if you want to be successful, you have to take risk. I said, okay. And then I heard in another book, a person said, what did he say? There were 3 things. Then he said, I have a business. He said, so what you should do is raise all your prices. I just read in the book, is it raise all your prices. Take risk, raise your prices. And there was one other thing I heard, and it was kind of like, put your vision higher. So these are just things I heard in the past. And I did those 3 things 1 month, and guess what happened? I doubled my income. I didn't double my Krishna consciousness, but now I have more time because I don't have to work so hard now. But it was, no, the third thing he said is, whenever you get money, set aside a percentage and give it to charity. So those were the three things I did. I set aside money for charity. I took risks. I made bigger investments in my business and raised all my prices. And guess what happened when I raised all my prices? Guess what people said? Your prices are so good. That's what they said after I raised my prices. And I said, okay, that works. But it was just making the point that these were just things knowledge I gained. If you read 1 hour a day on one topic, right, 20 years, I think that would be like 1,000 books, you would probably be in the top 3% of experts on that subject. Isn't that interesting? Now, no one get offended, especially Indians, but I have to say something. This past year I have lived in the homes of 5 or 6 or 7 Indian families, and you guys watch way more television than Westerners. So if you just cut out a little bit of television and read Srimad Bhagavatam, or invested time in an online course, do you think that would make a difference? Do you? Now I know you're attached to those Hindi movies. But all I want to say, and I'm not going to offend you, but for a Westerner, when they see chubby women going like, they look at that and they go, what's that all about? That's how we look at it. So it's like, why are you watching that? We don't understand it. I know to you it's very near and dear to see chubby women shaking their rear ends and singing songs. But for us, we think, it would be better if you were reading the Bhagavatam. So it's just an idea. I hope I didn't offend you. You all hate, just make a joke. But you understand the principle. So if we invest time within ourselves, there's so much we can do. So I encourage you to look at our programs, to not be afraid to invest your time, your money in perfecting yourself. Any program, not just ours, any programs. So now I would like to turn it over to the forms. We're going to pass out these forms. But while we're passing the forms, Bachelor is going to close.
Yes, we regret that we have taken 15 minutes more of your time than we actually agreed on. And so we regret about that. We're sorry. We want to thank Mahatma Prabhu for making this part of the presentation for Bhagavad Life. I feel that I know that all of you now are ready to make a commitment to understanding more about what this program is about by signing up and by getting this information that we're passing out. And we also want to thank you all for giving us your time. We're really appreciative that you took the time to sit here and participate in this program and listen. And Prabhu was saying that he was kind of sleepy over there. I'd be laughing my head off if this wasn't my life. This wasn't my life. Okay, so he'll be laughing his head off as he looks at this form for Bhagavad Life, because that will be another life. We want to thank you very much. Please fill out the form and pass the forms back, to the devotees that are here. I'm really very grateful for being a part of this team, and I'm sure Purusha Shakti Prabhu has a lot that he will be sharing with us in the upcoming months. Thank you very much. Hari Bol.
Person on this track of life assumed by Yamduta. Sometimes what people say, Yamdutas are only in India, they are not here. They are more here than in India. I said they are everywhere. Yamdutas are everywhere. So Yamdutas, horrible looking actually. Bad teeth and twisted face and long hair. They laughed at me. Yamduta said, he said, take me what you have shown me. And laughingly, you know what Yamduta said? You know what we have shown you? That was our advertising department. To bring you here. So now you ask that you have to suffer it forever. So dear devotees, there is a lot of advertisement of hell, you know. In this country, wherever you go. Or sometimes I was driving, you know, oh, I like ribs, ribs advertisement. So many dirty advertisements, filthy advertisements, all these advertisements are for hell. So Prabhupada is advertising, all of you should advertise this Mahamantra, Harinam, Hare Krishna, Krishna, what's happening? Hare Ram, hands up. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Please advertise this Mahamantra. Go to door, tell people, distribute Prabhupada's books. Don't just stay, what do you call, like a lazy person. No. Go door to door, tell people, then you will have the mercy of Prabhupada, Gauranga Panchatattva. Their life will become successful and your life is going to become wonderful. This is the only way to save ourselves. Thank you very much and all glories to Srila Prabhupada.